Okay,
So,
guys, so I have a special treat for you all today. I have Dr. O'Keefe with you today, and she is actually the person who opens my eyes into neurofeedback. And she's the one who's been really helping me through this process. And I've been going into their office and just I know that you guys listened to my episode a few weeks ago, and I had so many questions about how you guys were asking how it helped me actually clear the fog. Well, I brought her onto the podcast today because I really wanted her to answer those questions that everybody has that we don't understand. Because one of the things when I started neurofeedback, or even when I started doing holistic medicine or just going down that path, I didn't understand any of it. So, Dr. O'Keefe, I want you to introduce yourself and kind of tell us a little bit about yourself, about your practice, and where you're located so that my readers know, because I do have a lot of local Florida, Orlando listeners.
good.
So,
All right. Well, hi, I'm Dr. O'Keefe, and I have a practice in Maitland, Florida. It's called Restoring Health. And the other doc and my business partner is Dr. Jennifer Vaughn, and she's amazing. We were
yes.
chatting about that earlier. And we do several things here. We are a holistic practice, obviously, called Restoring Health. And we do chiropractic, we do functional medicine, which is my absolute passion. That's what I spend a lot of time doing. We do neurofeedback, of course. Those are the two areas I really spend most of my time in. We have a weight loss program, we have massage therapist. Hopefully one day when we grow up, we'll get a acupuncturist.
Oh, that's
So,
awesome.
the whole idea really is to have a center where people can come and they can regain their health, get their health back in a holistic, natural way. We were talking earlier, and we were talking about medication. I said I'm not anti-meds. Sometimes people absolutely need them, but we are two primary care physicians, and we do not prescribe medications. We do, diet, supplement, exercise, things along that line. So we try to basically get people healthy, just the way your body was created to be.
Now, when you say functional medicine, because I know a lot of people out there don't really know what functional medicine is. I know I didn't
True.
know. You would
True.
say
Yeah.
functional medicine. I usually get, oh, is that, where you just do exercises or yoga all the time, or you're drinking like green smoothies all day long? And I'm like, no, that's not what functional
Okay.
medicine is.
No, and that's true. I get that all the time because I'll be out at the grocery store, I'll have my scrubs on. They're like, "Oh, what kind of
Yes.
doctor are you?" I'm like, "Well, I'm a functional medicine physician," and it's the blank look. Um, so yeah, so what I do actually is I look for the why the behind the what. Okay, and let me explain that. So let's say, for example, somebody has high cholesterol, right? That's always good to pick on because it's easy. The question is not that you have it, right? So if you're just treating high cholesterol, you're just throwing something at it, right? But the real question is, why do you have it, right? I think I think sometimes doctors just throw that, oh, it's genetic, real, just out real fast. That happened with my husband. He went to his doctor, his cholesterol was really high, and wanted to put him on a med. And my husband was like, well, can I change my diet? And the doctor said, well, that's not really going to help. That's going to be, it's probably genetic. So he said, well, humor me and let me do that, right? So of course we changed his diet. His cholesterol came down, and his doctor was like confused, like I don't understand this, but when I look at cholesterol, I go, okay, there's typically three reasons that it's going to go up. I mean, first of all, I'll see it in postmenopausal females. Okay, because what happens is their hormones drop dramatically. And if you're postmenopausal, oh my God, I get it. It's so joyous. But they drop dramatically. And the first quote ingredient for a hormone is cholesterol, right? So now your hormones go boom, they just drop, right? And your body's going, hello, where are our hormones? Oh, we must need more ingredients. Make some cholesterol so we can make some more hormones. So that's why I'll see in postmenopausal females, I'll see the cholesterol goes
Wow.
up. Another reason is bacterial infection. A lot of times you'll find hidden infection. I find it all the time, and especially in like my ADHD kids and autism. I'll run stool analysis, and I will find all these infections. Well, cholesterol likes to gobble up bacteria. So guess what happens when you have a bacterial infection? your cholesterol goes up. So if it's this hidden thing, then again, you take care of that, take care of the diet, because diet is part of it. And it's not usually fat that causes it. It's usually sugar that causes it. So you drop the sugar, take care of the bacterial infections, balance the hormones, and basically the cholesterol will usually change without having to go address the symptom. You've addressed the underlying cause. So what functional medicine does is I run a bunch of tests, whether it's blood tests, stool analysis, food sensitivities, whatever it is, hormone tests. I'll take a look at it and I'll go, all right, what do we have to address down here that will get rid of what's bothering you, so to speak? Neurofeedback is the same way, right? So it's not really that neurofeedback goes, oh, I'm going to treat ADD, or I'm going to treat anxiety and depression, or I'm going to treat insomnia. We basically look at the brain waves. We look at 4 different brain waves. We look at alpha, beta, delta, and theta. And we go, okay, we know they're supposed to be in a certain range. And when they go off, and depending on what part of the brain they go off, will give us a symptom. For example, if alpha and beta flip, right, you're going to have anxiety and depression. So I saw the hand
I'm
go up.
raising my hand over here.
Hello.
Right. So many times I've heard Kelly saying that.
Right. When it flips. And a lot of folks don't realize too that anxiety and depression are not 2 separate things. They are just different sides of the same coin, because basically what happens is you're dealing with anxiety, right? And your brain's going, oh my God, 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 right? Well, after enough oh my gods, it gets tired. And then you go into depression, right? And then you kind of pull yourself out, because our bodies and brains are so amazingly resilient. You pull yourself out and then you're like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And you get tired, right? So what we do with neurofeedback is we train that so that the oh my gods calm down. Sometimes we have to look at the gut, honestly, because I don't know how many of your folks have heard about the gut-brain connection, right? Think about anytime you get nervous, like, do you get that pit right in the pit of your stomach, right? You can feel it in your stomach, right? It has nothing to do with your stomach, but that just gives you an idea. You can, you actually start digesting your food just by smelling food. Your whole digestive system starts when you smell food cooking. Right? So that's the brain talking to the gut, right? And sometimes the same thing, the gut will talk to the brain. So if you have inflammation in there, right, or a hidden infection in there, or a food sensitivity, and you have all this inflammatory cytokines is what they're called, what happens is gut on fire, brain on fire. Right. So I'll get patients who have anxiety and I'll go, okay, well, let's take a look. If we're not making the progress we want to make, even in neurofeedback, I'm always going to go and look at the gut, because more times than not, I always find stuff. It's like parasites and all kinds of fun things like that. So I'm such a nerd. I just love what I do. But it's like, oh, look what we found in you. Okay, the poor patient, they're like, oh God, really? I'm like, but it's okay. We'll get you better. It's okay. Just give me a minute. But
I'll figure it out.
That's right. I mean, I'd rather find something than not, because then I have to keep digging. So when I find something real quick, it's like, oh, good. We can deal with this. So.
Well, that's funny that you brought up the gut, because that's one of the things that I was talking to Kelly towards the end. One of the last appointments that I had with her was about that. Because I still was having a really hard time sleeping. She's like, okay, let's change your diet around. Let's, no sugar after this time. Let's cut this out. Let's start process of elimination. And I did. I listened. I was like, I'm done with this. I'm like,
you're so good.
I'm coming in and I'm doing all this work to my brain, but I'm not doing anything to my gut. I'm like, something has to be going on. Right. So we talked about several things, and that was one of the things, and I cut off, as of right now, I've cut off all sugar. Oh, I'm down to no carbs. So I'm not eating bread, no pasta. I've substituted with, I do the vegetables instead. So when the family's having their pasta, I'm doing zoodles instead.
There you go.
And I'm doing the healthier pasta sauce with vegetables and homemade, and definitely going into more whole foods than I was packaged stuff. And it's funny because I'm just going to bring this up really quick, but I haven't told Dr. Vaughn or yourself or Kelly, I haven't had a chance, but because of you guys, I've actually decided to change, kind of twist my career a little bit. And I'm actually going back to school, and I'm getting my holistic certification for coaching.
Oh
My
my God,
health
that's
coaching
awesome.
certification, because
Oh my
it's
God,
changed
that's
my world
awesome.
around.
Yeah, yeah.
Because
So
how
are you feeling now?
I'm amazing. My husband's like,
Right?
he'll know, like, if
Right?
I'm making these smoothies in the morning that has, all these good things for my stomach, and like cherries that are good for my hormones and
Right.
all this stuff. He's like, did you have your smoothie today? Because he'll notice my, everything changes, the way I perceive everything, the way I act towards him and the girls,
awesome.
and the way I go on with my day.
Yeah.
Just
Oh my God.
amazing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh no, it makes a massive difference. I mean, I got into this years ago because I had such a bad foot injury, and it was so bad I couldn't walk 10 feet, and this went for years and years and years and years and years. And so I went and I saw a holistic doctor. And at that point, I mean, if he had told me to stand on my hands and juggle watermelons with my toes, I would have tried. I was a tap teacher who couldn't walk, and so he was like, well, you need to alkaline your body. And I was like, who? What? What's that all about? I mean, my maiden name was Melchiona. Okay. It's a good Italian girl, right? My mom was Swedish, so I've got the blonde hair, but but it was like, I grew up on pasta and breads and, I was a dance teacher, so I ate a lot of Snicker bars and things like that. And I was like, alkaline, what the heck? So of course I go and I start studying, and I'm like, oh man, well, that's a change. Lots of veggies, and reducing the things that are more acidic, and which sugar is like one big, oh my God, piece of acid. Yes. And little by little, I got better. Not completely better, but the inflammation went down. I dropped about 15 pounds. My brain was clear. My skin was clear. I had energy. And then I got introduced to Dr. Vaughn, and she does a particular type of chiropractic with instruments. And the first time I met her, I was like, what are you? You are not the average bear. You are totally not the average bear. And I remember sitting, and you'll get a kick out of this, I remember sitting in the parking lot calling Kelly, right, who is our neurofeedback person now, right, calling Kelly going, you've got to see her. I don't know what she is, but you need to see her.
She's a magician.
Pretty much. And so, to make a very long story short, I went from not being able to walk 10 feet to now I hike for 5 and 6 hours in the mountains and have no problems, so, reducing the inflammation in your body, addressing the underlying cause. She was the only one that looked at fascia. Everybody's looking at my feet. I had gotten stepped on by a horse in my stomach. Long story. And everybody's looking at my feet, and she's like, it's the fascia in your hips. And I was like, what? Who are you? And so anyway, she got me up and going. And so that was very, very long time ago. But, that was actually the first little step in my journey, to being introduced to holistic medicine that actually works.
That's amazing. That's amazing that it comes to the people who touches our lives, it just takes one person and your whole entire perception changes.
Oh, completely.
That's amazing.
And I hope I can do that with my patients.
Yes, you definitely do. You definitely do. My readers know I've been sharing more of my journey, more openly. I'm trying to be vulnerable with them and share with the moms out there and tell them, I'm a breast cancer survivor, and I came into your office with anxiety, depression, PTSD. I was just done. I was rock bottom when I came into your office, and, it wasn't overnight. Cause that's one thing I want them to know. Something doesn't happen overnight, no matter what we do. It takes time. And it took a little bit over a year for me something in my brain went, that's it. And I was like, what happened? And Kelly warned me. She goes, one day you're just going to all of a sudden
wake up and
yes.
Yeah.
And that's what happened. So how will you explain that? Somebody like me who comes in and is anxious and angry all the time and taking all this frustration out to her husband and her children. And this mom is just, she's done. She can't function. She's been to the doctor, she's taken medicine, nothing's working.
Right. Well, okay. So first of all, we live in a fast food society mentality, right? It's the drive through health,
Yes.
drive through food, drive through everything, right? You know, so think about too how long it took you to get somewhere. If you really go back and go, when did I start? You know, one of the questions I ask in my functional medicine intake form is, when was the last time you felt good? Because to me, that's the starting point. Okay, so what happened then, right? Not now, what happened then? And so in America, we just tend to have this, like, you know, quick fix mentality. All right. But to let everything heal, it takes time. It's your body, right? It took you a while to get here. It's going to take you a minute to get back. Nowhere near as long as it took you to get here.
Yeah.
Right? And everybody is going to fix at a different rate. And they're going to train, if it's neurofeedback, at a different rate. And it just depends on what you're dealing with. So let's say I get a neurofeedback person, they come in, they're like, oh my God, anxiety and is us, you know, and they're just snapping and frustrated, and then they get depressed. And, you know, yeah, we see the gamut when they come in, for sure. And that's when we start, because we don't just do neurofeedback. We don't just do functional medicine. We don't just do any of the things that we have here. It's the whole picture. You're a whole person. You're not just a brain. You're not just an ear. You're not just a toe. You know, you're not just a spine. You're a whole person. So the question is, all right, what's the thread we need to pull to help you? Right. So if somebody comes in, they're super anxious, we can put one person on neurofeedback and boom, done. They're great. Okay, that's all they need. And then we'll get some, and they're still not coming. And Kelly will sit there and she will watch every single recording. And she's like, oh my God, did you see that beta? And did you see alpha? And you're like, she will. And you're like, what language are you talking? You know, she lives, eats, and breathes it. She's so precious. And, you know, and it's one of those things. So we're like, okay. Like, for example, we had these kids, and they're doing well. And then bam, all of a sudden we're seeing the alpha and beta go off, and she'll ask and go, well, what'd you do this weekend? Oh, I went to a birthday party and I had cake and I had this. And we're like, I would bank on a gluten sensitivity, right? So when we see that, then all of a sudden we go, okay, let's go ahead and let's run a stool analysis, which I did. The kid had about 3 infections, you know, and several other inflammatory markers just off the charts. I'm like, okay, we need to address this concomitantly. That person takes longer, right? Because like you really didn't get the big fix until, again, what's driving it?
Yes.
Right? That's always the question, you know, why? I keep asking why. Somebody has anxiety, not that you have it. Why do you have it?
Yes.
What could possibly be the reasons? Could it be a gut-brain connection? Could it be a concussion? Could it be metals? Could it be, you know, we get heavy metals? Could it be environmental mold? Oh my God, what mold will do to your brain. You know, I've got patients now that I just, oh my gosh, it's just crazy what I get to see, the symptoms from that. But absolutely 100% anxiety is one of it. So it's just a matter of figuring you guys out. Is, you know, and like I said, some people come in and boom, that's it. You know, and other people we have to do a little bit more with. So it's, you know, and Kelly is trained to keep her little eyebrow up and paying attention, you know, and then she comes in, she's like, Doc, I got to talk to you about so-and-so. And, you know, what I love about our practice is we actually know our patients, you know, we know who we're talking about, we all care, you know. I mean, when I had my dance studio years ago, I used to have the teachers that I had, we'd all cram in my little bitty office, and they'd say, all right, so, what do we do? And I said, well, let me ask you a question. What makes a good teacher? And they were like, oh, you got to be fierce. You got to be this, you got to be talented. You got to be all this stuff. And I said, well, the number one thing that will make a good teacher is someone who cares. You just simply have to care. And it's the same thing in anything in this world. And that's what we talk about here. You just simply have to care. You know, people are people. You know, how we treat them is important. They're not a number. Certainly not, you know, something that's oppressive. They're here and they're looking for help. And we have a lot of answers. You know, we don't have all the answers. And if we don't, we send them to somebody hopefully who does. But, you know, we basically treat with as much care you know, because it is the health care industry,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And sometimes I think we've lost a little bit of that. We've lost sight of that. I know I've gone into doctor offices before, and the little gal at the front desk looks up and she's like, "What do you want?" I'm like, "Ooh, sorry to
Yes.
bother you, but I think I
Yes.
have an appointment. You know, can I pay you?" You know, so you know, so I mean, we've all been there, you know, but
Yes.
that's, yeah. So, you know, so yes, so some people, you know, 20 sessions, some 40, some. I had a little boy, he was so cute, had a bad, really bad trauma, fell, had a brain bleed, and it shifted his brain. And this boy was so precious, but had such PTSD. He was like, everything we were talking about, is that going to kill me? Is that going to, you know, he was
Mhm.
so fearful. And we got through the first 20 sessions, and he made a little progress, and we did the next 20. Made so much progress. His mother was like, "Oh my God, he's a different kid now."
Mhm.
So much so she wanted to continue. I think he did a total of 80. He had a 80 sessions. He had a lot going on. We finally got him to a point. I said, you know, this is pretty much, you know, I think what we've got. And what's great about neurofeedback is the changes are often permanent, you know, so you can expect it to stay. In the meantime, he did a science project and on neurofeedback and meditation, because we were
That's
teaching him
awesome.
about at night because he'd have trouble sleeping. We would talk about, okay, and he did, and he wants to become a neurosurgeon who does neurofeedback. And so, you know, to me, I mean, that's a life that we've changed, that hopefully will affect others for the positive. And you know, I mean, gosh, what a special gift that is, right?
Yes.
To be able to offer that to people and to that family, you know. So I
Wow.
mean, I've got story after story after story of miracles that occur in neurofeedback, you know.
That's beautiful.
So yeah, yeah, it's special and it's fun.
Wow, I'm
It
so
really
glad you shared that story. That's amazing. I mean, I feel like that. I feel like when I come into the office, it's, Kendall's there. She's like,
is.
hey,
I
and,
know.
you
What's
know, yes. And I just call her. I just call. Like the other day, I called and I missed her phone call. And then she was calling me back at the same time. And I
Uh-huh.
hung up the other call to pick up
Yeah.
the other phone call. And
Yeah.
she's like, we playing phone tag. It's just this like family dynamic. And
Yeah.
it's just, I mean, I came into the
Yeah.
office and I started seeing Dr. Vaughn, and Dr. Vaughn is actually my husband's cousin.
Mm-hmm.
So she was been trying to get me to come into the office since I stopped all my surgeries after cancer, because she knew what
Right.
was going on. My mother-in-law
Right.
would tell her,
Right.
she's having back pain. She can't walk. She's having such a hard time. She's
Right.
stressed out. She's anxious all the time. I think she might have
Right.
depression because of what happened and all this stuff.
Right.
And I was like, no, 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 I don't want no more doctors, because I had gone to so many doctors and
Right.
talked to so many people and taken so many medications that I was just done.
Yeah.
And when I
Yeah.
finally was like at my breaking point, where I
Yeah.
actually had to miss the funeral of my husband's grandmother because I couldn't move from the bed, I was
Oh,
like, that's it.
wow.
My mother-in-law
Yeah.
said, okay, I'm making an appointment with her. Right at the funeral, they made an appointment, and I just showed up at the office a few weeks later
Oh, wow. I
because it was
didn't know
that
that.
bad.
Wow.
And then
Wow.
from there, it's just, okay, I saw you,
Mm-hmm.
and just everything started changing. I mean, like
Mm-hmm.
I said, my husband and my children, they see the difference.
Yeah.
He's like, you're a totally different wife. You're a totally different mother because you were
Yay.
not happy. Yes.
Yeah. That's
Yes.
awesome. That's
Yes.
awesome. That's why we do what we do. You know, it's special. I've had this other gal, we saw her daughter. Her daughter had a whole host of issues and got better. And it was so dramatic because she was getting ready she was like, I don't know, I might have to put my daughter in a home. It's just, I mean, the family was just, you know, distraught. And daughter got completely better with
Wow.
neurofeedback, and then several months later I get this phone call and the mom says, okay, now it's my turn. And so mom comes in and she starts, and when I do a report of findings for my neurofeedback people, you remember, I go through, I don't just do neurofeedback just
Mhm.
because I'm trying to look at the whole person, and I get about 25 different reports off of the software when we do a brain map, which is one of the tests that we do. And I'll look at it, and I'll take and I do look over the intake forms, and so I give this whole big recommendation. So I gave this recommendation on diet and some supplements for this gal. Well, she decided to go in, right, man, she's gonna do it. And she stopped sugar, stopped grain, stopped dairy, took her supplements. I mean, she lost, I think at last count, she lost 15 pounds Last time I saw her, I said, how you doing? She's, I feel great. I feel amazing. And it was so cute because she had taken care of her daughter and she saw the
Yes.
results that we had. And she literally came in and said, okay, now it's my turn.
Yes.
And I was like, it was just so cute. And she took it serious. And again, how much of a vibrant, how much longevity did we give her? Well,
Mm-hmm.
I don't even say we did. It was just because she took ownership of her health, right? We're just kind of guiding is
Yes.
really what we do. We're guides like Yoda, Dr. Yoda. I don't have green ears though, and she took ownership, but because of that, she will have a longer, more vibrant life.
Yes.
And that's really what it's about, right?
Yes.
We've got this go round on this planet. We should enjoy it.
I agree.
It's a special ride.
I agree. It's definitely a gift you guys are giving. I mean, as a mom, I can be the best mom that I can be now. I mean, I'm not perfect.
Awesome.
I still have my moments, but now I know how to manage it.
Right.
I know, okay, I haven't been to neurofeedback for 2 weeks now. I need to go in, I need to call Kelly, or okay, what did I eat? Because you guys have made me conscious of that already. So now I am being mindful of what I'm eating, what I'm doing. I'm getting my exercise. I mean, I've gone down the list just like her. I've done everything that you guys have said and everything has worked.
That's awesome.
So yeah, I mean, I just love that you guys are just giving this out to everybody. Like, it's there for us to take, for us. And like you said, we have to do the work. We have to be willing to go in and do it and allow you guys to guide us to the best possible solution for us.
Right.
Love that.
It's like I tell my patients, I got a lot of stuff crammed in my brain. Go ahead, pull.
Yes.
Just pull. I'm happy to share everything I've got, and it's a passion for me to say. I mean, really, like my husband will go, really? Do you have to be reading this book? Isn't this your time off? And I'm reading, I don't know, something. What was the last thing I read? The Biology of Belief. And, and I'm like, oh my God, did you know that the cell membranes are like, and he's like, seriously, aren't you taking time off? I said, this is fun, so, we all have our things but it's continual learning and growing. And well, scientifically we keep learning, and growing. Like I just found out something really cool today, and I can't remember his name, so I don't want to say it, but he is a doctor that does research for Harvard, and basically came out with a statement about the dangers of wheat, that everybody will have some kind of transient, if you've heard the term leaky gut, when you eat wheat. Transient meaning about 5 minutes or so. And they surmise that what happens is over time that becomes an intolerance, and it's at a different time for every person. Some persons at 13, some's at 20, some's at 40, 50, 90, et cetera, right? But it will absolutely damage, cause enough inflammation. And of course, remember we talk about gut on fire, brain on fire. And the amount of Alzheimer's that is being diagnosed right now is exponentially higher year after year after year after year. It is an absolute problem. Brain fog. Like we got to start really thinking about that, right? There was one of my favorite biblical characters. His name is Caleb. And he worked, I guess, with Joshua. And one of the things he said, he goes, he was 80 years old. He'd been marching around, the wilderness for 40 years. And now he's 80, 85. And he says, I have the mental clarity I had when I was 40. I'm as strong as I was then. Let me go take the mountain. Didn't even say, give me the mountain. I'm 80 dudes, right? He was like, let me go take it. And I think about people when we go walking into the pantry and we're like, what was it? What was I here for? That's not how we're supposed to be. We are not, we're meant to be more like Caleb, and so in order to take care of our brain, we have to take care of our gut. We have to take care of our body. We have to take care of stress. I mean, we live in America. It is the most blessed country, but we have to, we have created, the run lifestyle, and stress will absolutely take you down. There is no question about it. Now, stress, this is kind of fun. I like to describe this a minute, because you've got a place in your brain. It's called the amygdala. And the amygdala is your stress center. I call him Biff. Okay. And the reason I call him Biff is because he's kind of primal. Biff is like good, bad. That's it. That's all he knows, right? And when bad happens, he cranks out the cortisol, tells the adrenals, crank out cortisol, which is a stress hormone. But now, what causes him to think something's bad? He's primal. He doesn't know the difference between emotional stress, physical stress, physiological stress, right? So, for example, we all know about emotional stress, right? The person who cuts us off and then goes 2 miles an hour and we've got to be somewhere, and we know about that stress, right? We get that is stress, right? What happens if you fall off your bike, right? You get up and you got that little shaky feeling, or what? That is physical stress. Okay, you get hit by a car, you know that is physical stress. Biff is cranking out cortisol, or telling your adrenals to do that anyway. Okay, physiological stress. What's going on in there? You know, only 10% of your nerves feel pain. So 90% of your nervous system, what's it doing? Well, it's running your body, but you can jump up and down on one of those nerves and you're not going to feel pain, right? So only 10% feels pain. So you can have things going on. You can have inflammation going on. You can have, like I said, the stool analysis, I'll get back and I'll have 5 different infections, including C. diff, you know, and they're like, really? Like, no clue, because the symptoms they're having are not what they think. You know, they might be super anxious, or they might have ADHD, or they might be having problems sleeping, you know, and the list can go on and on. They might have eczema. They might have skin issues, you know, and not too many people associate skin issues with the GI tract, but 99% of skin issues, you can track it back to the gut, you know. So you could have something going on there, and Biff goes, oh my God, you don't know. All you know is you have eczema, right? And Biff's going, oh my God, you know, and that's causing anxiety, because once your cortisol goes up enough, you know, and then cortisol is, you know, if it goes on long enough, stress will make you stupid. It will absolutely do it. It absolutely, the whole front area of the brain just starts going, I'm fried. I am just fried. I can't. And that's the pantry stare, you know. You go in and do the pantry stare, or maybe the refrigerator stare. Yeah. Or the refrigerator stare, you know. Sometimes it's that, where's the milk? Where's the milk? Where's the milk?
I would go to the laundry room. I'll be in the laundry room. I'm like, why was I in here for?
It has something to do with clothes. Okay. I can maybe ascertain that. Deductive reasoning, check. Intact.
The thing is, I have other stuff in there, like toilet paper and stuff like that. I'm like, wait, one of the kids needs something.
Right. Yeah, there you go. I love it.
So funny. Okay, so what would you tell somebody who has never, who is just used to going to I call them regular doctors. I'll call you guys the special doctors.
Thank you.
Like somebody who wants to go into a holistic side, like you mentioned kids as well. Like one of the things that we don't realize is that I go back to moms, because they're the ones really always listening to the podcast and following me on social, is that as moms, we give to our kids. We give, and then we drain ourselves. And sometimes we don't realize that this self-care, sometimes it's not necessarily getting our nails done or our hairs done, which is something that I'm so like, I'm not against it. I think it's wonderful. But when I think of self-care, I think of going to go get my neurofeedback session, or going to go see Dr. Vaughn and get my chiropractic practice, or my meditation time, or my journaling time. That's what I consider something that's going to be positive for my body, my mind, my gut. Like you said, you know, eating better foods, whole foods, rather than going into the pantry and getting out that box of sugary cereal, you know. Right. What kind of advice would you give somebody who walks into your office, who, like I did in the beginning, who doesn't know anything about anything and goes, okay, I'm going to do this. What should I expect in the process? Like for myself, according to, I guess, let me say, according to what, you know, the papers tell you. Like for me, you knew that, you know, anxiety came up, this came up, that came up, and we broke it down into, okay, this is what you need to eat, these are the supplements you need to take, and this is the neurofeedback. And like you said, it can take 20 sessions or it can take 80 sessions. But then I come in and I'm like, yeah, this doesn't sound right. This is, you know, this is totally out of my element. What would you tell him to make him understand that even though it's different, it's a way to help your body heal yourself in a more natural state?
Mm-hmm.
Is that even like?
It is. And the thing is I think, you know, some people almost have to get to the point you did,
Mm-hmm.
right? They almost get to a point of desperation
Mm-hmm.
many times. I did too. For me, it was my feet. For you, it was anxiety, right? You were just, wow, you couldn't function. For
Mm-hmm.
this little boy, similar. My sister just recently, and I've talked to her for years and years and years, you know, and she had a health issue, and all of a sudden, Dane, I shouldn't be eating this, that, or the other thing. It's like, really? Okay, good. But it took that for her.
Okay.
And now she feels, and I'm not saying that's what it takes for everybody,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And it's kind of sad that holistic is almost like the last ditch effort,
Yes.
you know, to get your life back. Because when I get kids, when they're younger, they grow up with it,
Mm-hmm.
and they grow up understanding that, yes, my diet affects how well I can learn, you know, and how effective I'm going to be in school or in my job or what have you. I think a lot of the kids coming up now are a lot more um, open-minded and understand the importance, you know, of taking care of yourself. And that, unfortunately, just, you know, Americans, I think we pretty much eat something that doesn't eat us. Doesn't really matter what it is. If it's on the shelf in a grocery store, it means it's got to be okay, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you know, those are things that I think we just need to question. You know, we need to question that. And when you talk about self-care, it's like, even when you get on an airplane, if the plane's going down, they tell you, here's the oxygen. What do you do with it? You put it on
Put it on the other
yourself
person.
first,
Yep.
because if you don't take care of you, who's going to take care of them? And
Mm-hmm.
who's going, and I was just, oh, I was, it was, I think it was in the biology belief that I was reading this. Children, when they're young, I think, is it up to 4 to 6, I think, is when the theta waves are really going. That's your subconscious. Okay. Kids are sitting there and they're watching mom and they're
Mm-hmm.
watching dad, and that's their subconscious, and that's going to be the driving factor for most of their life when they make decisions. And I don't even know why I made that decision, but it all goes back to that 4 to 6 years of age, when the theta waves are the most imprintable, you know. So when mom is doing neurofeedback or eating healthy or making sure she takes her walks and gets exercise on a regular basis, drinks enough water, gets out in the sun, you know, does things specifically for health, well, they're watching, and that's imprinting on them. So, you know, that's one way to help your babies live a healthier life, because all of a sudden that's going to be important to them, and they won't even know why.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they won't even know why. But you know, it is important to kind of lead the way a little bit, I think, for our kids, you know.
I
Even when
agree.
they turn teenagers and they roll their eyeballs, they still know. They know.
Yes. Yes.
They
I agree.
absolutely do. Yeah.
I know the subconscious mind. I'm learning a lot about that, and it's just such a
Mhm.
powerful part of our
Mhm.
brain.
Mhm.
We don't realize it. We don't
Mhm.
realize that everything that we say, we do, like you said, our kids are watching.
Mhm.
They eventually will do exactly what we did with ourselves, which is
Right.
something that I'm trying to teach my girls. Look, I do this. I'm going to the doctor for our appointment because this is what mommy needs right now, and I want you
Right.
to learn that when you need
Right.
that, you can do that as well. That
Right.
is not being selfish. That is me taking care of me.
You've got to. You've
Yes.
got to. And if you want to live a long, healthy, vibrant life, you know, and enjoy your ride,
Yes.
you know, it's like, I mean, we know about maintenance for our cars,
Yes.
right? We take our cars in. Is there anything wrong with it when you take it in to get an oil change? Not
No.
usually. You know, we know about cleaning our house. We know about maintenance around our house, right? I mean, it's just, those are things that we do, but we don't really think about it. So these bodies are so amazing. We can push them until they get sick, right? But we don't have to. Like, if we
Yes.
learn right off early on, we don't have to get sick. You know, we can boost our immune system, especially, you know, in a time right now with everything we have going on with
Mm-hmm.
COVID and everything. You know, boost your immune system. I mean, what better what better attention could you possibly give your body to boost your immune system? You
So
know,
true.
make sure that you're eating lots and lots of leafy greens, lots of veggies, you know, vitamin C, vitamin A, vitamin D, get out in the sun, you know, zinc, water, most Americans don't drink near enough water. You should drink half your body weight in ounces every day, and, keep hydrating. Most people think they're hungry when they're really thirsty, so it's like, drink enough water, I mean, we can do these little things that will make a massive, massive difference, and keep you and your family healthy.
So true. Listening to our body is so important. Sometimes we're like, we have a headache, we have this, we go straight for the Tylenol or the the ibuprofen.
Right.
Why? And it's probably dehydration. You probably didn't drink enough water, which is the first thing I tell my daughters when I have a headache. I'm like, drink water.
Drink water.
Then come back and talk to me. And usually they forget because it's gone.
Right. Exactly.
So,
there's a ton of things you can do. Curcumin, turmeric can help with.
Oh, turmeric, yes.
Dr.
Vaughn told me to add that to my diet.
Yeah.
Add that to the food. The girls are like, what does that taste? I'm like, don't worry, but I just eat the food.
It's all good. It's all good. No worries. I just tried turmeric tea for the first time.
Yeah.
And that was actually really good. You just got to be careful because it will stain everything.
Really?
Bright orange. Oh my gosh. Yeah. I had one patient, was so cute. She had those like clear braces, and I had put her on this liquid turmeric, and she's like, Dr. O'Keefe? I was like, oh, okay, we need to change that. Sorry about that.
That's so funny, but it's so good for you.
Yeah, right. I'm glad they were removable,
That's so funny. Yeah, I started drinking tea. Actually, I dropped all coffee and started doing tea instead. And I was not a tea person. I mean, it took me a while to get into tea. I'm into the kombucha now and trying to do more of that kind of stuff to help with my gut and stuff like that, but not doing coffee. It's so funny. The good stuff doesn't always taste so great, but
No, but what happens is you get off of it, you lose this, because sugar is really addictive. I mean, it's like the most addictive substance out there. And when you get off of it, like as I mentioned earlier, I was this huge, sugar monster, and I'd go get this big, chocolate coffee mocha thing and a lemon pound cake thing. I'd be like, and I don't know, this was a while ago, a couple of years ago. I was like, I'm gonna take a bite of that. I was like, oh my God, I can't. I just lost the taste for the sugar. I mean, it goes away, and there's a whole host of things I'd rather eat now, I mean, I would have run you down for a donut at some point, but now I'm like, oh, just the thought of it just makes me a little bit,
yes.
So, I mean, it didn't take me a minute to get there. Yes. That took years. And like everybody else, both Dr. Vaughn and myself, we're just, every year, we're always learning a little bit more, doing a little bit more, you don't ever arrive. You just do the best you can do, but you certainly don't put your head in the sand.
Yes.
Learn journey. What you need. Yeah. Learn what you need to do. Make a little change here and a little change there. And, 1 + 1 + 1 + 1 + 1 equals a lot eventually.
Yeah.
So it doesn't have to be, oh my God, I have to live this perfect life. Nobody's perfect, but you can just make a little change here, a little change there, so that you feel good, and your family feels good, and you all enjoy each other.
Yes.
That's really kind of the goal.
Yeah. Especially when you're stuck at home all together.
Oh my gosh, yes. It's been quite a year, hasn't it?
Yes, it has.
Yeah, well, we'll see what next year brings, right?
I know. Dr. O'Keefe, this was amazing.
Oh, thank you so
amazing.
much. It was my pleasure to sit and chat with you. It's just, I'm so glad you're doing so well.
Yes. Okay, so tell us, where can my listeners find you?
Okay, well, right now, the best way to do it is check our website, which is restoringhealth.center. You could call the office at 321-444-6750, or you can email our office at office@restoringhealth.center. Not .com, because the comms were taken. .center. And we are a center, so so that works out.
That's awesome.
Uh,
This is
so,
amazing. Thank you so much. I know
oh,
that my listeners are going to love this. I know they've had questions because I've been getting them on Instagram. And I'm like,
okay.
well, just give me a week or two. I know that I
Yeah.
can get her on the podcast.
Oh, yeah, my pleasure. And if there's anything else, always happy to, always
Awesome.
happy to just, just set it up. And, if you can't tell, my husband says I have a gift of talking or a gift of gab. I love to chat. I love to
That's
talk. I
me.
love to teach, so it's absolutely just give me a call. I'll be happy to anytime.
That's awesome. Now I need to get Dr. Vaughn on the podcast.
Oh, you so do. You so do, for sure. I'll go poker. For sure. Your turn.
I know. Tag, you're it.
Totally.
Awesome.
All
Well, thank
right.
you so much for everything. I really
My
appreciate
pleasure.
it.
My pleasure. Me too. It's a pleasure to see you again. You look
You too.
fabulous.
Thank you. You guys are amazing. You guys helped me so much.
Thank you. All right. Be well.
Thank you. You too.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.